A fighter who for many years was a contender for the champion belt in the lightweight division, once the holder of an interim title, as well as the hope of haters Khabib Nurmagomedov from all over the planet, Tony Ferguson, nicknamed El-Cucuy, is a truly talented and hardworking athlete. But even such a master had defeats. I welcome you guests to my channel subscribers, and in this video we will go through all the defeats in the career of the legendary Mexican mercenary. Tony started as a fighter in 2008 and a year later went on a streak of 4 wins at intervals of a couple of months. Right after the new year, he filled Park Frank with a triangle in the first round. For Tony, everything was going well and he had the next fight a month later. On February 6, 2009, in the suburbs of Los Angeles, one of the all-star boxing promotion tournaments took place, which recently, in addition to boxing, began to organize fights according to the rules of MMA. The rival of the New Avenue Tony was the more experienced athlete Karen Darabedian. Today he trains fighters in his gym. Karen had a good background in BJJ, boxing and taekwondo, and was generally a versatile fighter. For Tony, who had all the victories in the series ahead of schedule, Karen became a problem. The victory was given to Karen by unanimous decision. Unfortunately, video recording of the battle has not survived to this day. A little light on the course of the fight was shed by Karen Darabedian himself, who, in refutation of Tony's words that he always interrupted his opponents confidently and did not leave the outcome at the discretion of the judges, published a post on his Instagram.
"This guy is wrong. I beat him in the rack and on the ground. I even fought with him. He could not walk normally for 2 months after the fight because I injured his leg with a heel knot. Don't think I'm bragging. I've given him the experience he needs to get to where he is today, but don't kid yourself about the fight. I beat you on week's notice."
But as you know, El-Cucuy is a fan of his business, and a month later he again entered the octagon. In the same year, he fought only 7 fights with intervals of no more than 2 months on average. Such fighting activity is rarely complete without injury or defeat. In the month of October of the same year, Jamie Tony, nicknamed the Ghost, who has been performing quite successfully since 2003, went to a duel with El-Cucuy. Jamie is a good fighter and most of the victories before and after Ferguson he got by submissions. And in Tony's case it happened the same. He tried to carry out a painful hold but was unsuccessful, because already in the 3rd minute the Phantom's legs closed the triangle. Ferguson, in his style, did not even think to knock and passed out. We must pay tribute to Tony's courage, and not only because he did not give up. Seeing Jamie the Phantom, I have only one question. It should be noted here that Tony Ferguson's only defeat was a submission. In general, all Tony's defeats were from rivals who turned out to be really stronger and more technical, and were not as annoying as Michael Chandler's, and if you haven't looked about them yet, a hint for analyzing his defeats will be at the end of this video. The next time, fortune turned away from Tony only 4 years later. He was already signed to the UFC and was heading for a winning streak of 6. As the winner of the finals of The Ultimate Fighter, they began to select a good opponent for him to put on the card at the next UFC on Fox tournament. Initially, a fight with veteran Dennis Hallman was planned. However, as often happens with veterans, he was injured and Thiago Tavares was appointed to replace him, who by a strange coincidence was also injured. On March 30th, they announced a replacement. Michael Johnson was chosen, who in contrast to Tony lost his final of The Ultimate Fighter and went on as a result of 2 wins and 2 defeats. According to analysts' forecasts, Tony was the favorite. The first round was held in exchanges but was marked by Michael's clear jab, from which El-Cucuy fell into a knockdown. Michael also used kicks very often in different variations. Tony, in his usual, immortal, style, absorbed all the blows. In the second round, one of these body kicks fell on the forearm of Tony Ferguson. An unsuccessful attempt at the middle kick block led to a fracture. As Tony later said, he felt a sharp pain, but in no way other than shaking his hand did not give it away. It seems that Johnson was not in the mood to win this fight. After the fracture, he did not understand where the attacking actions had gone and continued to practice active defense, expecting anything from Tony at that moment. El-Cucuy managed to hold out for 1.5 rounds but unfortunately not to take the victory. A plate had to be inserted into Tony's broken arm. And although the doctor's predictions were not encouraging, El-Cucuy tried different methods of recovery and did not give up. Rehabilitation took a 1.5 years. The injury hardened his fighting spirit. Tony Ferguson knew his place at the top of the Olympus, and so motivated himself for hard training and complete dedication that he went on a winning streak for 8 years, completely cleaning up the division. The list included Edson Barbosa, Anthony Pettis, Rafael dos Anjos, Donald Cerrone, Kevin Lee. However, even despite such achievements and qualities of Tony as a fighter, UFC boss blatantly ignored him. Since 2015 it was still impossible to organize a meeting with Khabib Nurmagomedov, and after another breakdown due to injury, Ferguson finally lost the opportunity to fight for the title and Khabib became the champion. In 2020 Dana White is making an extreme attempt to organize a battle, and is even more convinced of the theory that this battle brings misfortune, injuries, disruptions, a pandemic, then only a meteorite fall. The fight this time was postponed twice, and the interval between the weight races was only 21 days. The lightweight division is the most competitive, so athletes are extreme weightlifters. And it seemed like everything was under Tony's control. The first round he completely imposed his game on him. Justin saw salvation only in a successful hit and thus exhausted himself, trying to crush Tony until the end of the second round when El-cucuy filigree caught Gage with an uppercut and only the gong saved the situation. This situation sheared Trevor Whitman's ward, and he began to listen to the coach's commands not to invest in every shot, but to concentrate more on accuracy and timing. And we must pay tribute, albeit exhausted by the weight racer, but rather experienced master Tony Justin Gage managed to outplay. Then he slowly took it apart right up to stopping the fight in the 5th round. Well, this is how the cards were formed. A middle-aged body exhausted by a weight racer, an overestimation of one's capabilities, a reluctance to recognize the strategy of fighting in a standing position without connecting jiu-jitsu as a failure due to one's own ego, and a number of other reasons resulted in the most annoying defeat in the career of this legendary fighter enthusiast. It would seem that now Tony's ability to get a title shot and become a champion is forever lost. However, after Khabib Nurmagomedov unexpectedly ended his career for the leadership of the promotion, Dana White suddenly remembered Tony Ferguson again and offered a promising fight with Charles Oliveira, who was on the winning streak. Charles is a typical Brazilian with a black belt in jiu-jitsu. In the first round, despite the fact that Tony himself has good grappling, he manages to spend a significant part of his time dominating full mount, and later even get on the elbow lever. El-cucuy possesses incredible strength of character and does not even think to knock. He later revealed that the lever of the elbow was really tight, but thinking about his son and his mental ability to endure pain helped him get through it. However, Tony was never able to resist the transfers to the partner, and in subsequent rounds Oliveira gains points by controlling the opponent on the ground and at the net. Nobody has ever succeeded in this. Apparently, for a Mexican age and the accumulated damage over a dozen years of performances have become a serious obstacle, and it's time to end her career. He himself assures of his intention to leave a legacy after all, and his haters should not even think about resignation. Such were all the defeats of the Mexican scarecrow, Tony Ferguson, who even without the title of champion left a mark on the history of mixed martial arts with his diligence, stamina and skill. Friends, do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you like the content, leave your comments.